Hi, it's Professor Moylan, and in this micro lecture, we're going to look at Zoom scheduling. Now, if you're like a lot of people, you've already scheduled Zoom meetings, but you're self-taught, and so there may be some functionality that's there that you're not familiar with, so you might pick up an idea or two. So here's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to schedule a course that I have in the fall with recurring meetings, because we're meeting more than once, we're meeting twice a week. And then after I do that, I'm going to go into the settings and point out some of the things in the settings, and then finally some ideas about giving that information to students. So my class is Fin 432. It meets Monday, Wednesday from 8 to 9:15. The first scheduled class session is September 2. The academic calendar is a little bit up in the air right now. I'm not sure when it's going to end. I think I'll just put in an end date of December 20. That's going to be too many meetings. I can delete those later meetings later on. So I go into Zoom. I'm going to schedule a new meeting. The first day is September 2nd, so I'll go into, well, first I'll give it a name, a topic, and I'm just going to call it my Fin 432 virtual class. Then I'm going to go into the little calendar feature and find my first day, and that is going to be September 2nd. It starts at 8 o'clock. It's an hour and 15-minute class. I always give it a little extra time. I don't want Zoom to cut off too early, so I'll give it an hour 30. I could have easily done it 2 hours. This meets twice a week, so I'm going to go into the recurrence and repeat every week on Monday and Wednesday. And then I put that end date in there, December 18, a little bit later than I really need. Registration and meeting password. I don't want registration to be required or for there to be a meeting password. I'm not worried about Zoom bombing. It didn't happen at all in the spring. I'm not worried about it happening in the fall. If that were to become a problem, we can always go back and change that and make a password later on. Video. I want the participants' video to be on when they come in. We can turn that off if we need to for bandwidth reasons. Of course, I want my video to be on when we come in. And audio, I want them to be able to have audio either via their computer or call in. And hey, take a look, both. I can't even change this. This has been locked by my admin, and I'm pretty sure that you want both computer audio and telephone capability for those that are having computer audio issues. Meeting options. Enable join before host. Here's the thing, if I enable the waiting room, that will disable the enable join before host, so I don't worry too much about that. Mute participants upon entry. Definitely want that. They can then unmute themselves, or I can unmute them, as the case may be. Only authenticated users can join. Again, I'm not too worried about that. Breakout room pre-assign. I could do that if I knew for a fact that I want to send people into breakout rooms, or I can just create those breakout rooms on the fly. Record the meeting automatically on the local computer. If you know that you always want to do that, go ahead and check that. Although, if you do, that will start the recording automatically as soon as you begin the meeting. I like to start the recording after we've done all of our, good mornings and the true official class has begun, but that's a judgment call, if you will. And then I'm going to save it, and now I have created not only this one meeting, all of these meetings for the whole semester. And so when I go and look at my meetings, yeah, there they all are. I've got my Monday, Wednesday, every Monday, Wednesday at 8 a.m. It's got the same meeting ID, so the students only have to know that once. There's no password required, so it's going to make it easier for the students to get into the class. Okay, so the meeting is set up. Now let's go into the settings and see what we can do in there. Host video, start meetings with the host video on. Yeah, I want that. Start meetings with participant video on. Yeah, I want that. Audio, as I said earlier, I want them to have both computer and telephone access there. Join before host. I could turn that off, but I'm going to go ahead and enable the waiting room so they can't join before I start the meeting. I do not want passwords. Because again, I want this to be as easy for them to join as possible. Hasn't been a problem with unscheduled people coming in, so I'm not going to worry about that until it becomes an issue. Do like to mute those participants upon entry. Chat. Allow meeting participants to send a message visible to all participants. Absolutely, of course I want that. Now the next one there, prevent participants from saving chat. Why would I care? But it's this next one that some people really disagree about. Private chat. Allow meeting participants to send private one-on-one messages to another participant. I've heard some colleagues say that they don't like the students chatting back and forth amongst themselves. I don't care if they want to communicate, electronically behind my back. What do I care? So I like to encourage them to communicate. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that on. Polling. I'm pretty sure you want this turned on. Add polls to the meeting controls. This allows the host to survey the attendees. Now, in the standalone video on meeting functionality, you'll see about polling there, but pretty sure you want that turned on. Screen sharing, absolutely. Who can share? All participants. I certainly want students to be able to share their screen, like when I ask them to, give a short presentation or something. And here's the key thing. Look at that next one below there. Who can start sharing when someone else is sharing? Host only. So students can't cut in on me, and they can't cut in on each other. The only way a student can share the screen is if I then unshare my screen and then say, okay, Kayla, you go ahead and share your screen, or whoever the case may be, and whoever wants to share their screen can. If a student is doing anything inappropriate with their shared screen, I can immediately share my screen, and that cuts them off. So never had a problem with that in the spring semester. Breakout room. This is one of the great functionalities of Zoom. Allow hosts to split meeting participants into separate, smaller rooms, and you can do that in advance, or you can do that on the fly. And again, that's a nice capability. We'll see a little bit more about that in our separate video on meeting functionality. Waiting room. When participants join a meeting, place them in a waiting room and require the host to admit them individually. I do not have this turned on for regular class meetings. If they come late, they come late. I don't care. I don't need to bother to let them in. But I do enable this for office hours because I want to be able to communicate privately with a student, and I don't want someone else coming in while I'm communicating privately with the student. And that lets them know that, okay, you're next in line to come and chat during the office hours. So that's a nice capability there in Zoom. Sharing the meeting information with students, and I have found that this works. I create a one-page Word file that has all the information in there, and I'll show you why I like to do it that way. So now I'm going to go into my meetings, and they all have the exact same information. So I'll just grab the very, very first one, September 2nd, and there it is. Now you see I've got the link to the invite, and so I can copy the link address, and there I've copied the link address into Word, my little Word file. Now I'm going to go back and actually get the invitation, and so see where it says copy invitation, just click on that, and then that brings up the invitation, and it's on my clipboard, and then I'm going to paste that into Word. But here's the problem. With this recurring meeting, I've got all of these. They don't need to know all of the September 7, September 9, September 14, and on and on and on. So what I did was I pasted that into Word, and then I'm just going to clip all of those other things away, get rid of them. And so now I've got a much, much, much shorter invite that I can now copy and paste this into my learning management system, whether it's Blackboard or Canvas or Moodle, and I just put that up at the top of the virtual classroom so students never have an excuse that I couldn't get in the meeting because they've got it right at the top of their learning management system for the class. Inevitably, I'm going to get an email from a student that says, how do I get in the meeting? And so I've already got the invite saved in that Word document, and so I just hit reply and I paste that Word document in there, and they've got all the information they need for the meeting. In two separate standalone micro lectures, get into greater detail about the functionality in the Zoom meeting room, and then a separate standalone micro lecture on issues with recording your Zoom class meeting.